I will say this. I think that if you take a look at the AI complex, once again, people keep thinking, when will NVIDIA move? When will NVIDIA move? Is NVIDIA's chart bad? I had someone ask me if NVIDIA's chart was bad last night. How's the chart, NVIDIA?
What'd you tell him there, Jim?
I said, I don't know. I think the company's doing a really good job. That often plays a role in the chart.
Yeah, Jim, yesterday, by the way, Russell, year on year, 26.4%, biggest annual gain in several years. It was Yardeni yesterday, Jim, who argued small caps not doing as well as mega caps, argues maybe this rate path is not going to be as dovish as some people think, or as the bond market thinks.
Well, look, Ed is absolutely right. That would be the conclusion you reach. What I think is happening is there are different things occurring at this very moment with some of the mags, not the others. I really feel like the Tesla's reaccelerating. I think that Amazon, if you go through the FedEx lines, you'll see that e-commerce is stronger than they thought. Stronger. That reads very well for Amazon. Remember, they're not clients, but Amazon, that is just a one-for-one tell, and I really like it. So I see some things that I really think are good. I think the Apple launch is going to be very, very effective. Tim Cook looked really good this morning. I always love the fact that people want selfies with him and he talks with them, but actually it's a remembrance that the company is absolutely loved. And then David, best for last, okay?
Yeah. What do you got?
David, Waymo. I don't want a human anymore. I want a Waymo.
Why is that, Jim?
Because they have no emotion. They don't want chit-chat. They don't want to ask me how I'm doing. They don't talk about the Eagles. They just drive. They don't hit anything. They don't seem to be tired at all.
Ask you about NVIDIA.
They don't put on the Eagles either. So you sit there and go, not the Eagles,
great.
man.
And you know what? Other than if I jumped into the trunk, which they can find, they'll find you, by the way, because they have cameras everywhere. I think it's such a more pleasant, safe experience. I'm all in Waymo, which makes me not want to hate Google as much.
Interesting. Okay. So if you had an opportunity to order an Uber without a driver in, what was it, the two cities there in Austin and what was the other city? Is it,
Atlanta.
Atlanta.
Yeah.
Atlanta.
You would do so. You would do so.
Oh, without a doubt. No, I'm tired of humans. I am. I want AI agents like Salesforce gives me because they're really polite and they treat me like a human, and Waymo treated me like a human. I want to be treated like a human again. The only thing that can treat me like a human is artificial intelligence bots. They treat you with respect, David, the way it was when we were growing up.
Yeah, remember those days?
The bots are raised by really good moms and dads, so we're very thoughtful and know about manners.
Well, don't worry. Your hope for getting rid of humans, it may very well be embraced by AI as well. So who knows?
We can still play a critical part in the infrastructure.
We can? What would that be?
Yes, we could.
Little pods where we provide energy?
No, but they may have to bring us coffee in the morning. A lot of people are really talking about the humanoid robots and what that's going to mean.
No, they're not. Just you. You're the only person who talks about them.
But no, they're really important because I need friends. I get up really early. There's no one to talk to. My wife tells me to shut up. Can you imagine I go downstairs and there's a robot that says, have you seen Boeing today? I'm like, Boeing's so bad. I know. What are they going to do there? I think the guy made like 30. And then the guy was like, do you know how much data? Oh, God. I was like, I know. Can you believe it? I mean, 100 mil. That's what I want. I want a robot who gets me at 3 a.m., okay? Not like go downstairs and listen to Beethoven's Seventh or something.
A robot. How about a robot who can also stretch you and work on you, get you ready for the day?
I have this guy Jim. He's really great. But yeah, I mean a robot. Other people can have robots.
He might need to be replaced.
Jensen Huang, don't forget, because I haven't mentioned his name in the show. Jensen says that they're going to be human-looking, which means, David, they could come in. They say wear a white shirt, no tie, wear a flammable jacket, go in there and talk about how your friends are saying that Jeffries is doing well.
Meanwhile, right now, they can't figure out applications for the enterprise that get anybody particularly excited. That very well could change very, very quickly.
David, health. You remember, you're always supposed to say health when that happens. You say, but David, health.
Health, yes, health. It's going to help us with drug development. We can't.
Right.
But
everybody comes back to that. Time. And
the call centers. And the call centers.
Not embracing.
Right. And the call centers, as you say. It's changing those right away.
Absolutely. You have to, when you call, you say, you remember you always used to say, I want to speak to a human? Oh, that day's over. I want to speak to an agent.
That's for sure, Jim.
But when it comes to AI, someone else dominates, and that is NVIDIA. My next guess is that even at this price, NVIDIA, still a buy. Let's bring her in. Spear Invest founder and chief investment officer, Ivana Delvetska. So make the case. Why should I still like NVIDIA at these prices?
Well, Taylor, thanks for having me. We're at the very early innings of a major data infrastructure upgrade cycle. So we believe that there is going to be significant investment that will go into upgrading our current data centers to this accelerated computing technology. And we've really only seen the first generation of chips introduced so far. So what we believe will be happening is that there's going to be significant improvement from generation to generation. So as the Blackwell chip gets introduced later this year and next year, that's going to spur a significant step up in demand. So it's going to result in significant upside to earnings estimates.
It's interesting. One of another analyst that I read, Dan Ives over at Wedbush, he says, think of NVIDIA as it's like 9 p.m. at a party that's going until 4 a.m., right? Like you're in the really early innings of this. One other thing, though, that he talks a lot about is how NVIDIA has such a big lead. They're 2 or 3 years ahead of everyone else. How far behind, though, is a company like AMD? Can they catch up? How long will it take them to really close that gap with, of course, the big leader that is NVIDIA?
Well, Taylor, the interesting thing about AMD is that they do have a similar technology and a similar chip. The question is, how do customers plug and play with that chip? So it's not as simple where NVIDIA has built a whole ecosystem around using their chips. With AMD, customers will need to do that on their own. So that's really the big difference. But we see over time AMD also entering the market and gaining pretty significant market share. It's just that you have a growing pie, so there is going to be a big opportunity for both players to capture.
Some of the things that I've read coming into earnings season in the last couple earnings season is trying to prove that AI has value, that companies are profitable, that they can return cash to shareholders, that they're able to monetize AI, that the proof is in the pudding. Are we there yet?
So I do think we're there yet. And the reason why people miss this is that the first wave of investments is still by companies that are currently leaders, like Meta, like Tesla, and they're really using AI to upgrade and maintain their current technology leadership position. We see companies like Google, for example, their business is under attack, right? The search business. So they're really going to have to invest significant dollars in this, even if they don't see the returns. Now, we're a few years away from seeing completely new applications for AI, which we expect to see, and chips like the Blackwell will enable those because we need significantly better compute power at a cheaper cost to be able to come up with new applications.
All right, I hope you're all doing well today. The S&P finished the day down just under 0.2%. NVIDIA finished the day down nearly 1.6%, and Tesla finished the day down about 2.3%. I'm going to talk about NVIDIA and the rest of the market, but I want to briefly touch on Tesla. So after this week's rate cut, Tesla broke above a key supply zone that we have been battling with for about a week, and the stock was up more than 7% yesterday. Yesterday, we peaked above this upper trend line, and then today we closed underneath the trend line. So in the short term, we very well could trade lower toward the lower trend line. However, once we get to Monday of next week, we will be only 17 days away from Tesla's robotaxi event on October 10th. And the closer we get to this event, the stronger Tesla's bullish price action should become, as long as the rest of the market remains calm. So in the short term, I think this could easily go either way based on what I'm seeing on multiple time frames. But I do think Tesla has upside between now and October 10th, as long as the rest of the market can simply remain calm. And on that note, let's talk about the rest of the market, because I want to point out two important things on the SPY's chart. So first up, we have a gap on the 30-minute time frame that has yet to be filled. We came very close to filling it yesterday in pre-market trading, but we did not fully close the gap. The last two times we had gaps like this on the 30-minute time frame, both of those gaps were filled 2 trading days after they formed. So in the short term, I'm interested to see if we will get a fill of this gap sometime next week. And then zooming out all the way to the weekly time frame, I want to point something out. Notice that we have been making higher highs, while both the RSI and MACD have been making lower highs. This is looking like a textbook bearish divergence. Now, of course, a divergence alone is not everything, and we must consider the situation in its entirety. So let's think for a second. What is the current state of the market? Well, we just got a 50 BP rate cut, and we're expecting more rate cuts later this year. So that's good news for stocks. At the same time, we are approaching October, which is historically the month in which the stock market reaches a bottom. And there is also an upcoming election in November, which would likely exacerbate any downturns in October due to increasing volatility. So I think it is very reasonable to be cautious until we get past the election in November. Now, I'm not telling you to buy, sell, or hold anything. I'm just presenting you with this information so that hopefully you will have a better understanding of the situation. Also, I want to mention that while October is typically the month in which the market reaches a bottom, December is typically the month in which the market reaches its high for the year. So if we get a slight pullback sometime between now and the election, that could potentially be a buying opportunity as long as nothing catastrophic happens and as long as we don't end up in a recession. Now, regarding NVIDIA. In the short term, I'm still patiently waiting to see what happens with the rest of the market before I make any short-term decisions about NVIDIA. Over the medium term between now and early November, I am cautious regarding NVIDIA for multiple reasons. Of course, there's the upcoming election, which will likely lead to increased market volatility. And I'm also thinking about the cycle NVIDIA typically moves in between earnings. This is an oversimplified graphic, and I'm just trying to communicate the underlying concept here. Attention surrounding NVIDIA and subsequently NVIDIA's share price tends to move in cycles in between earnings. We've already seen this happen twice this year with NVIDIA stock reaching a relative low about 3 to 5 weeks prior to the company's next earnings report. If this pattern were to repeat itself, then we could see NVIDIA reach a relative low sometime around late October/early November. Now, with that in mind, I do want to bring a curveball to your attention, and that is that Jensen Huang is scheduled to speak multiple times in the near future. Jensen is scheduled to speak at the Bipartisan Policy Center in Washington, D.C. next Friday, September 27th at 10 a.m. Eastern. Then he is scheduled to speak in Mumbai on October 24th. And he is also scheduled to speak in Tokyo on November 13th. So here's the thing. If we did not have any events on the calendar between now and late October, then I would absolutely think NVIDIA would have softening price action between now and then. But since we have multiple events on the calendar, and given how NVIDIA stock reacted when Jensen recently spoke at Goldman Sachs Technology Conference, that makes predicting NVIDIA's price action a little bit difficult. Could we see NVIDIA's share price react positively to Jensen speaking at any of these upcoming events? It's possible. But considering the cycle NVIDIA typically move in between earnings reports, given that October is the month in which the market typically reaches a bottom, and given that there is an election in November that will likely result in increased market volatility, I think it is reasonable to be cautious with NVIDIA until we get past early November, even if the stock has some strong green days along the way. So that is my short-term and medium-term view on NVIDIA. Now let me give you my long-term outlook. I am bullish on the long-term future of NVIDIA as hyperscalers like Microsoft, Meta, Amazon, and Google must invest in AI now, and they have yet to show any signs of slowing down on CapEx spending. In fact, today, Microsoft and Constellation Energy announced a partnership to restart a nuclear power plant, and Microsoft committed to paying for energy from the plant for 20 years in order to power its AI data centers. This is huge because Microsoft is NVIDIA's largest customer, and Microsoft is showing no signs of slowing down their CapEx spending. In fact, it appears to be the opposite. So back to my long-term outlook. The hyperscalers must invest in AI infrastructure now. NVIDIA's newest platform, Blackwell, is scheduled to begin shipping in Q4, and Blackwell is an entire platform. It's way more than just a chip. And this opens the door to a massive revenue opportunity for NVIDIA. I would not be surprised if NVIDIA doubles over the next 2 years, given the company's current growth trajectory and upcoming product cycles. I don't know what will happen in the short term because anything could happen. But from a long-term perspective, I am bullish on the future of NVIDIA, and I think the company still has plenty of runway ahead of it. At least that's how I view the situation. With all of that being said, I hope you all have an amazing weekend, and I'm curious to hear your thoughts about NVIDIA in the comments below. Please leave a like on this video so more people will see it. And while you're down there, please consider subscribing. It's free, and you can always change your mind. Thanks for watching, and hopefully I'll see you in the next video.